Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going inside The Boys series finale, and we're going to get my review on it. So, full disclosure, it has been 2 days since I've seen the finale. I feel like if I would have sat in here right after that episode, I probably would have had an emotional reaction. I've had a couple days to kind of let it settle in, and maybe I can give less emotional response to that finale. After all these years of investment into this show and these characters, it came to an end this past Wednesday. There's a lot to talk about here, but I will talk about how I felt after and how I feel now, kind of, which is still kind of similar. How I felt after was, I think, more disappointment than anything. I think how I feel now, I've kind of digested it a little bit. I still feel kind of disappointed. At the same time, it feels like the things that needed to happen happened, but kind of the way we got there just didn't feel satisfying. I guess that's how I put it into words right now. Just a quick synopsis that's usually more general than spoiler, but as I say with most reviews, and if you're interested in The Boys, I'm assuming at this point you've seen it. So there's not going to be much in a way of spoilers for you anyway here. We'll get to my full spoiler thoughts and things in a matter of a minute or so. General synopsis: Homelander has kind of been, well, not kind of, he's seizing control of everything. He's kind of taken over Vought. It's getting to the point where he's basically running the country, as the president is more reporting to him than anything, while he's seemingly losing his mind and going insane. And just like the series as a whole, it's up to the boys to stop him, as Homelander is now got it in his mind that he's going to rule and no one's going to stop him. So I'll leave it that general right there, because let's get right into the spoilers. The complete spoiler talk now, so I can get these thoughts out there. As I said, it wasn't bad, but it was disappointing how it ended for me. I feel like what happened to Homelander, what I felt like needed to happen to Homelander, happened to Homelander. I felt like throughout this season, throughout the show's history, I've been waiting to see Homelander get what's coming to him. And we got it in this episode. But again, it's kind of how we got there, right? Which is basically, we're in spoiler talk, so I can say it. Homelander finally is killed. And that's what needed to happen to be satisfying for me. But at the same time, it's still somewhat, I don't know, something feels missing. And it's just like I can't quite put my finger on it. But the season started out strong for me. That first episode, I think I gave like an 8.8 to. And if you know me, how I get to my final score is I average all the episodes together, plus up to 1 bonus point can be added with the average. But the problem was, from that episode, it felt like things started to go down. It's like episode 1 was the peak. We're at the summit of the mountain, and now we're coming down it for the rest of the season. And I think my scores reflect that for each episode. In fact, I need to open that to see what those numbers are. But I think I gave episode 2 and 3 7.8s. think I gave episode 4 like a 7.1. Looking for it. Yeah. Okay, got it open now. Actually, I gave episode 1 at 8.9. Then the next 2 episodes I gave 7.8. Episode 3 I gave a 7.1. Episode 5 6.5. 7.4 for episode 6. Episode 7 7.2, and the finale 7.1. So nothing topped episode 1. So what in episode 1 made episode 1 so special? And I don't know. It's the start of the season. You're getting that feeling, okay, this is the end. We're about to get something great here. And we started out kind of epic there. Right? Homelander's trying to flush out the rest of the boys, besides the ones he has detained, by saying he's going to kill them, knowing that the other ones are going to come rescue them. We get kind of a confrontation there and a fight, and A-Train, who says he had a family to take care of, so he couldn't get involved because his family could get hurt, came in, helped save the day for the boys. Homelander immediately diverts his attention to A-Train, and he's chasing him, trying to laser him. A-Train has his full circle moment, kind of how we met A-Train. It was him splattering, was it Huey's girlfriend on the street when he was running down the street. There's a person in the street, and A-Train sidesteps them instead of splattering them, trips, and that's how Homelander ends up catching them. But he goes out like a straight G by laughing at him and saying, why was he ever afraid of him? He's just a insecure coward. And eventually he just gets his neck snapped, which is A-Train does, by the way. And that was a strong start to the season. We get an emotional scene. You kind of want to see A-Train like get a new start, since he's getting redemption. But he's killed in this moment, and he has a hero moment, and he does get redemption even in death. And we're off and running. But it never reached the height of that, to me, the rest of the season. We spent a lot of time on things I just did not care about. Maybe you did. I didn't. Relationship drama, I didn't care about. Frenchie and Kamika. To be honest, I've never been a big fan of their relationship. That story never hit for me. In fact, to be honest, Frenchie's probably my least favorite character of the boys. I don't know, there's something about, maybe it's the accent. I don't know. To me, it seems like a stereotypical French accent, what somebody would do if they were trying to, I don't want to say imitate a French person, but in a way try to make fun of them, as far as his accent is concerned. So my first thing was like, is this his real accent? And I think I looked it up and seen it was not. But I don't know. Is that a good French accent for the French speakers out there, or people who speak English but also French? Because to me, it didn't feel like it was one. To me, it kind of made it hard for me to like have any kind of investment in this character. And I just, even though none of these people, maybe except for Huey, for the most part, are good people, he's also not a good person. So his character was something that I never really liked. And thus I didn't like the Kamiko Frenchie relationship throughout the show. However, I'll get to it later what I thought of their endings. Also, during the season, a lot of characters made a lot of dumb decisions. Felt like there were people flip flopping. Sage is supposed to be the smartest person in the world, and it seems like at times she's making dumb decisions. I still don't understand that, like, when Homelander was getting the V1, which was the big storyline this season, V1 would make Homelander immortal. So most of the season, again, wasted time, was the boys versus Homelander trying to get to the V1 first. They're trying to stop the V1 and destroy it before Homelander gets to it. But Homelander gets it anyway, and the boys are just watching from the woods him take it. Watching Soldier Boy hand it over to him, and he takes it. They didn't go out there and do anything. They didn't try to stop it. But in that moment, they just watched him take the V1. But yeah, there was a lot of moments like that with a lot of characters. I can't even think of them all right now. Feels like there's a lot of things that could have been done from some of these characters, and they're just stupid, I guess. Getting back to Frenchie, I will say this. The final 2 episodes, they kind of redeemed Frenchie for me. Even though he was my least favorite boy, by me saying boys, I mean the group. To me, I'm calling them the boys. Somehow, some way, they redeemed him in 2 episodes. I just think what I wanted out of the finale, me personally, this is me fantasy booking it, fan fiction booking it. I guess what I thought in my head, what the finale would be. Obviously, I thought Butcher would die. Homelander, I felt like needed to die. But I think what I thought of was kind of Avengers Endgame like. You know, when Doctor Strange is opening the portals and all the heroes are coming back out. And there's this big epic battle with Thanos and his minions versus the Avengers and all the heroes. Now, I'm not saying that way, but I thought there'd be some showdown like that. Homelander, maybe whoever's aligned with him versus like the boys and whoever's aligned with them. And there's this big epic battle between the two. Not like the Oval Office fight where it's just basically a couple of people. I know I'm jumping around from place to place from like different points, so bear with me. Getting back to the V1 stuff as well, we spent all this time looking for V1 just for Homelander to get it, and all of a sudden there's a plan B out of nowhere. All of a sudden we can create a weapon that can strip powers away. So convenient, huh? How that comes out of nowhere. So that means we wasted our time saying how important V1 was. Homelander taking it. But now we got something even better. Even if he takes it, we can strip him of his powers. We can create a weapon, which was Soldier Boy's power. But they infuse and come up with an experiment that's going to make Kamiko have Soldier Boy's power. And that's the new plan after the V1 debacle. Convenience that you can strip powers all of a sudden. We could have maybe done that from the beginning. For us Gen V watchers. And to be honest, I have my database open. I gave The Boys season 4 a 7.5. I wasn't rating when Gen V season 1 came out, but Gen V season 2, 8.4. Great. on the Hex scale. I think Gen V has been a better show. I think as far as the I don't know, the suspense, the storytelling, I guess you don't know what to expect from it because like a lot of the main people that are in the boys side of things aren't over there, which I guess makes it a little bit more exciting for me. But for us that watch Gen V and we build up Marie Monroe, and you know where I'm going with this if you watch this, just for her. And if you go back to the trailer, I think I see her in the trailer when I reacted to it. I was like, oh, they got the Gen V people there. Let's go, or something like that.
However we can.
There goes my girl from Gen V. Guess what they came over here to do? Nothing. This was a glorified cameo by the Gen V people. Marie Monroe is supposed to be a hero, or excuse me, a soup at the level of Homelander. And she wasn't used at all during this final battle. Not at all. So what did we build her up for? To do nothing. Okay, Starlight's last fight. Again, the way I thought it would end, or fantasy booked it to end, or fan fiction wrote it to end. In my head, Starlight would have been involved in that final fight, I guess, with Homelander and Homelander's allies, instead of having this whole separate fight with the Deep. Again, I know this is kind of a full circle thing because if I remember correctly, back in season 1, there was some kind of violation that the Deep had. Or was it the Deep? It might have been Translucent, or both, with Starlight. But yeah, Starlight's final battle was with the Deep at the beach as a kind of a side mission. One of the most pathetic members, which Homelander said himself, of the 7, the Deep. While Butcher, Kamiko, Ryan are fighting Homelander in the Oval Office. Now, getting to that fight, because these fights were going on at the same time, Homelander all of a sudden seems nerfed, right? He's zapping people and it's like he's just pushing them. We've seen these lasers melt people's faces, cut people in half. And yes, I know it seems like Butcher might be bulletproof. Maybe he can take a blast. Well, I've seen Kamiko, I'm sure, get lasered in half. But she gets lasered and they're just pushing. That's all Homelander's lasers are doing right now. As far as Ryan appears to have the same powers as Homelander, so okay, you can make the argument that he can take them. Maybe Butcher can take him. I'm not sure exactly what Butcher's powers are besides the tentacles. But yeah, that final fight was pretty quick, in my opinion. They quickly get in there, neutralize Homelander, and Kamiko, after seeing Frenchie with the power of love, zaps his powers away, along with everyone else in there. And now Homelander is exactly what A-Train said he was. Because the only thing that made Homelander and strike fear in the hearts of people is the fact that Homelander held their lives in his hands. And now that he has no power, he was as pathetic and useless and scared as people have been saying all season. The people who have stood up to him. I'm not going to repeat the things that Homelander said begging for his life there, but this is his death moment when Butcher puts a crowbar through his brain. Homelander finally gets what he deserves. And then we get to a point, we're celebrating our victory. Butcher's talking about settling down with Ryan, and Ryan doesn't want that because, as we know, Butcher's not a good person either. And Ryan sees that, tells him that. Butcher goes to see his dog. His dog is dead. So all of a sudden, Butcher flips out and says he's going to release the virus. By the way, which was one of their plans early, to take out Homelander, was to release a soup virus, soup being superpowered individuals. And I guess after having a lonely feeling there, he grabs the virus and goes to Vought Tower and was going to release the virus, which sets up a showdown between him and Huey. They fight as Huey tries to talk sense into him early. Butcher wasn't going to stop, but I guess he sees his, his brother in the face of Huey, and he stops before releasing the virus, and Huey shoots him, kills him. And that's kind of how all the resolutions of this show happen. We got to the point where we needed to get to, I think. Probably with Butcher dying, Homelander finally been slayed. But it feels like we wasted a lot of time doing missions, doing things that we probably shouldn't have been doing. And I felt like the tension should have been building for most of these episodes leading up to a big final battle, which I felt like wasn't built up properly. I think it just kind of happened, but that's just my opinion on it. So, got a new segment here during the reviews, plus, minus. Here are my pluses of the final season of The Boys. Homelander finally stopped. It's a plus for me. One of the great villains. He's menacing at times because he has this great power. He's Superman. I'm trying to find a way to describe him. Evil Superman, I guess, is the best way to describe him if you haven't watched this show. After 5 seasons, I guess it's been about 7 years, Homelander's finally defeated, and that is something definitely I wanted to see. Plus, a Butcher being just as bad at times, it feels like, even though he's kind of our anti-hero protagonist, he's done some vile things himself, and he got what he deserved. I think his ending is also deserved, so I'll give that a plus. Another plus, Frenchie's redeemed. You took a character that I didn't like throughout this series, and in those last couple episodes, his death scene, even the scene when Kamiko's just standing there and unable to pull off the blast. Somehow she can't find the anger of the person who killed her lover. Somehow she can't find the anger, even though that seems a little bit far-fetched. Kind of spirit. Frenchie comes along and gives her the motivation that she needs to blast Homelander. So, 2 episodes and I feel a little bit more positively about Frenchie. Minuses for the final season of The Boys. A minus. Sophomoric, juvenile humor. I hate it. I know there's some people out there that just love this stuff, like elongated penises whipping people as someone's like superpower, or like balls just dragging the ground and wrapped around people's necks. A cat and a dog lady sniffing each other's asses. I don't know. I find this stuff kind of disgusting. And the fact that it has to be in every episode almost. It'd be one thing if it happened every once in a while. The fact that it's in every episode, almost, something like that. Oh no, I would almost like be worried about the person that's writing this stuff as being some kind of a weirdo. But I don't know. It's just that stuff isn't for me. But yeah, I know there's some people out there who really love that stuff. But it isn't for me. I think the final battle was a letdown. That is a minus for me. I was hoping for more. And the fact we got an Oval Office fight scene. Homelander can't fly away. He can't. They're holding him. They're doing all these things, and he seems nerfed in the fight as well. If they were capable of doing this before, why didn't they? Before now. Speaking of that, too many convenient solutions after failures is a minus for me during this season. You failed to get the V1. Now we have a new plan where we can zap powers away. You're trapped underneath the White House with two gunners who can't shoot anybody in a locked up, confined space. Nobody gets shot, not even wounded or anything. Convenient. And there's some other conveniences too. And my final minus, just too much time during this season spent on things that just was not that important. I felt like this whole season should have been building toward something bigger. I guess to that final moment. And just felt like, I don't know, it just didn't feel like it was built up properly to that final moment. And I think that's where the emptiness comes from for me. If everything was built up properly and we got that payoff at the end, I think I'd feel a different type of way. However, it doesn't feel that way. So yeah, that is my plus and minuses from the final season of The Boys. Finally, I'll leave you here with the final score. I already gave you early on what I gave each episode. That averaged out to a 7.5. Bonus points, 0, which means The Boys' final score is a 7.5, good on the Hex scale. Again, it was entertaining. It wasn't terrible. When you spend time with characters that you've been with for 7 years, and you care about some of the characters, and the villain is menacing, and you want to see him get his comeuppance, that alone is enough to carry people to watch on, right? You want to see how it ends for these characters that you've been following for so long. However, this could have been a banger season if done properly. It was still good. It wasn't terrible. Still entertaining. You still got those moments. You still have some really good moments. It was just inconsistent, in my opinion. So that's where I ended. But I do want to, just like I did with Stranger Things, I think when I first watched this show on Amazon, I saw a trailer for like a hero thing. As I said, I like my superheroes. I like my comic book characters and things. And I was like, I got to see this. Even though I had no knowledge of The Boys or any of that stuff at all, that this was a comic book. Hell, I thought it was like just something written originally, which from what I hear from the people that read these comics, this is his own story and pretty much diverted a lot from what the comic book was. I thought it was going to be kind of that typical superhero, supervillain type show, and it was nothing like that, and it intrigued me. In fact, the superheroes are actually the reverse, right? In most superhero stuff, the superheroes have these powers and they do the right thing. In this show, the superheroes are more human and probably would do the things that if a person actually had superpowers this day and age, would probably actually do. Some of them are doing filthy things. Some of them are doing good. Some of them are evil. Some of them are just like, I guess, just like people themselves. But it just so happened that the guy that has the powers of Superman is the most evil of them all, and is holding the country at under his rule as you go further and further in the series. So it was an interesting take on superpowered individuals, and I enjoyed the ride. Despite what I think of each individual episode or each individual season or the finale, hey, this was a hell of a ride and I enjoyed it. So until next time, I salute you, the boys, and I am